Blueprints by Tonda Ross is a game that was released and published this year, and what are my thoughts on it? Well, it was much earlier this year that I beat it, but I did beat it, so my thoughts on it are it's a very good game. But is it the right game for you? Now, Blueprints is a puzzle game similar to that of Return of the Obra Dinn or something like Outer Wilds, which is one of my favorite games, and in that way it's a pretty creatively made puzzle game, I'm trying to say. But essentially you have many runs similar to how Outer Wilds works, and on each run you might discover something new that will ultimately lead to the final secret, but there's many different paths you can take that all intertwine. So each run, you can sort of choose what you want to focus on, and then if you hit a dead end, you can choose to do something else, and maybe that'll, uncover something for that run too. So basically, that's the whole gameplay loop. It is a puzzle game because you don't know anything at the start. You find evidence and then you build it up. In terms of actually puzzling things, it's not that difficult, but it is difficult in the sense that, you have to sort of piece everything together, and it's useful to have a logbook because unlike Outer Wilds, there's nothing to keep track of it for you. So just having something to memorize the things along the way is helpful. So yeah, it's not like there's any mathy problems that are really difficult to solve or anything. It's just a matter of finding the secrets and sort of figuring things out and piecing it all together in your mind. Like a detective, I guess. Now, in terms of story, I don't fully understand the story, but essentially you are a person whose grandfather, I believe it was, has left a house for him as inheritance, but he has to find the secret. But I suppose the actual story has to do with the gameplay. So let's talk about that. Essentially how the game works is you're in a mansion called the Mount Holly Estate, which is basically inherited to you by your great uncle St. Clair. The stipulation in your inheritance is that you have to find the secret 46 room. And how the gameplay loop works is you've basically got to construct the mansion with various different rooms on a grid tile, and there's only 45 rooms. So where is the 46th room? And that's essentially your goal, but there is a lot more to the game and it gets a lot deeper, which makes sense considering the puzzle aspect of the game. And there's a lot that I haven't done. I've been in the base game and done some extra stuff, but man, there is a lot. And clearly the lore, although I don't understand it, goes pretty deep. It essentially constructs a whole fictional universe with its history and everything. But the important part of the story is sort of the St. Clair family and learning about them. And that's integrated into the world with the puzzles. So at first, you don't really need to pay attention to the lore or story or anything. It doesn't really matter. But it does play a pretty big role overall. And I don't even understand it fully because I've only been in the base game. But I do intend to return to the game eventually to beat the rest. Essentially, when you're constructing these rooms in the mansion, there's different types of rooms. There's green rooms, red rooms, dead ends. You got bedrooms, which increase the number of steps because basically the game resets every day. Once you run out of steps, the next day comes, really. And then you gotta reconstruct the mansion all over again, but there are some permanent upgrades you can get, like unlocking a gate on the outside that gives you access to a shed. This isn't really spoilers because it happens really early on, that will give you some pretty useful things for each run, although it is randomized. And there are many other upgrades like that. There's some really cool rooms in this as well that get pretty creative. Like there's a lab room where you can, sort of make experiments to give yourself certain upgrades throughout it. And yeah, and then there's the stars you get from the observatory, which really stack up over the days. So it's not fully resetting every day, but for the most part it is. And I don't want to spoil too much because there's a lot to the game. If you like Outer Wilds, you'll like this game. Now, one criticism, I have heard a lot of it, is it's very RNG heavy, and in a way it is, particularly with something like the Boiler Room, I mean, you know. But let me say this, the game, if you took the RNG out of it, would not be the same. It's what makes the game special, really. And honestly, I think the RNG in the game, because it is sort of roguelike in nature, is sort of important, because it can force you to sort of pursue other objectives that you wouldn't have pursued otherwise, just because you sort of hit a dead end with your poor RNG. And then while you're trying to do that other thing, because there's just so much in the game to do, you might like end up finding out what to do for the thing you were previously stuck on because of the RNG. So there's just a lot to do in the game that no run actually feels worthless if you take advantage of what each run has to offer, because there's always something new to find, even if it's not exactly what you're trying to find exactly. So for people who say the game is bad because of RNG, I think they're wrong. The RNG is an important aspect of the game. So what are my thoughts on Blueprints overall? Well, in terms of the games I've played this year, and I've played quite a few, I think it's probably up there with one of my favorite games of this year. You've also got Silksong and Clair Obscur, which I really like, but this game is just a real special game and a real winner in my opinion. It is the sort of game I like as well. So overall, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. I love the game. The music, the art style, the everything. Tondo Russ and the developer behind it, Dogu Bomb. Yeah, it's really good, and I can see why it took so long to develop. But yeah, so overall, highly recommend.